All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. Right here, we are actually joined by a phenomenal punk rock group. That's right, we have Zero Coping Skills, and they are live here on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, our radio station airwaves as well. How are you individuals doing there this evening?
Good, thanks, mate. Good to be here.
I got to say, it's great to actually be on the air and just spending this Sunday night talking with you guys, because you guys are such an amazing band. When I listen to your guys' music, I absolutely cannot skip a song on your guys' records, man. So just speaking with you individuals is amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. We're stoked. Thank you so much for having us.
Hey, you're most certainly welcome. But I know you individuals are super busy, and I don't want to take up what is left of this amazing weekend this far. So I'm going to dive right into this interview. But I have to ask you guys, like, what is the story behind Zero Coping Skills? Like, how did you guys all meet and come together as one?
In the kind of old school way of classified ads, Elena and I have played in a lot of bands together in Toronto, and we moved to Victoria, BC about 5 years ago, and kind of took a little time off because we were really busy with music, and so we took some time off from playing, and just kind of reset, decide what we wanted to do, and then this COVID thing happened, screwed all that up. So getting back into anything or doing anything live, but in the midst of that, we were kind of getting itching to play and rehearse, and found some rehearsal spaces here, and I had some songs written to kind of go back to my roots of like the late 80s, early 90s kind of melodic hardcore and punk. And so I just put an ad up on all the kind of the boards, the Facebook musicians boards for Victoria and the punk and metal things. And Neil and Kevin and Paul all individually kind of like answered and had their own thoughts and sent some different stuff that they were to. And we just kind of picked a time to get together. And shockingly, I think this doesn't happen very much anymore, but the 5 people who originally kind of answered that ads and got together are still the 5 people who are actually doing it. So it worked out quite well that we didn't actually go through 50 different kind of auditions. The initial 5 are still the original 5. Heck, we're frozen. I can't see nothing.
Really? I'm still good on my end.
Good here. We've lost our host.
We lost our host. Do you guys still hear me? Still see me?
Yeah.
I can see you. Yeah.
Yeah. You're all good.
Oh,
on my
there we
end.
go. My apologies.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Did you guys hear what I said by any chance?
No.
My sincere apologies. I'm having some serious technical difficulties on my end that I'm trying to work through while I'm doing a live interview. So it is definitely always a fun, challenging thing. But what I was saying was, when you guys were speaking about how you have all the original 5 members, I have to say that's absolutely extraordinary, because a lot of bands, they actually go through a lot of different members all the time, and especially at the beginning stages. But the fact that you 5 individuals are the originals is absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah. It sure is.
Yeah, as I said, it's fairly rare. Yeah. Go ahead.
But also, you guys have actually had the opportunity to share the stage with so many amazing legendary acts, from No Effects to Green Day, and the list goes on. But the one that really stood out to me was actually being the Misfits. I was wondering if you can actually just tell our viewers and listeners a bit more about this opportunity. And of course, did you guys get the opportunity to chop it up with the Misfits before or after your guys' performance?
That would be Elena's.
Oh yeah. So this band hasn't played with the Misfits, but I played in a band in Toronto called Rehab for Quitters that opened up for the Misfits one night in Toronto. It was awesome. It was lots of fun. That was years ago. I'm trying to remember some of the interesting details. I know I was definitely nervous. It was one of like the bigger shows that I had played at the time. We got to spend some time like hanging out with the band. It was really great. It was lots of fun.
And also as well, I gotta say, because obviously you had the opportunity to like actually like your other band had the opportunity, of course, to actually perform with the Misfits. Did you get a chance to meet them, or was it just strictly just a performance session?
Yeah, I remember spending some time with Jerry Only, and he was really nice. I've got a picture with him somewhere from that night, and it was really fun. He was a nice guy.
It's always really cool when you get the opportunity to meet your heroes, and they actually turn out to be very nice individuals. And also, as well, on December 10th of 2022, you guys actually had the opportunity to perform at the Punk Rock Holiday Market. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about the market in particular, and of course, what was it like actually just performing alongside Up and Coming and The Chain? Hung Up and The Chain. My apologies.
Yeah, the market's really cool. I think Esther Worley runs both of those, or is involved in the organization. She books Rockland Punk House. She books a lot of the shows here, most of the shows here. So the market's really cool. It's independent vendors doing a kind of a holiday market, but not in the traditional kind of doilies and Santa Claus kind of church basement kind of market. It's much more anything to do with punk and alternative kind of culture. You'll get some witchcraft stuff and some handmade clothing stuff, and patches and buttons and all the kind of things that kind of go along with a non-mainstream holiday market. So it's like it's Christmas gift giving, but not very Christmas themed. So that was a great fit. Hung Up is actually a band we know very well and rehearse in the same spot as, and Elena is the drummer of that band as well. So we kind of parallel with them, but that's the only time I think we've ever actually played on a show together. So Elena had to do back-to-back sets for that one. So it was a long night for the drummer.
But she never missed a beat.
Hey, but you're a phenomenal drummer, so honestly, I'm pretty sure it was a no breeze for you.
Yeah, it was quite tiring to play 2 sets in a row. I don't do that too often. It's a really good workout, but I got through it and had a really fun night doing it. So.
And also on September 21st of 2022, you guys actually released a 5-track live album titled Live at the Phoenix. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this particular album. And of course, what actually all went into it to actually make it a reality, because I always find the live albums are extraordinary, just how bands like yourselves really put them together, because it really, there's a lot more to it than, of course, putting together a regular record.
Yeah, I can answer that. It's there is. It was a very interesting. It wasn't planned. It was just a set we had. The Phoenix here is unlike the large Phoenix in Toronto. This is a smaller kind of bar, and it is basically stepped up after COVID and kind of hosts all of the shows for the punk scene every Friday, Saturday night, or both. Like this weekend, there are shows at the Phoenix. So they've been really, really good stepping out and giving the punks a venue when everything else was shutting down. So we would just sit there, and the Code Tron goes by. If you look him up on Instagram, was doing live sound that night. And after the set, he came up to me and he said, if you want all the tracks from what you just did, I recorded everything as individual stems. So for people who don't know what that is, instead of just like hitting record on a board tape, which used to just be a stereo thing on board, he actually had a splitter. So every single mic signal he had was being individually recorded. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'd love to just hear those and see what I mess around with them in the home studio, and thought maybe nothing would come of it, or that I'd never room for months. And that night after the show, I got a Dropbox of every stem of every microphone feed that saved it. So I figured, well, if he goes through the effort to actually send us all of that and just do what you will with it, then I might as well make the effort to actually make something out of it. So I went through it all and kind of picked the 5 best performances that we'd done, and just download all these little stems and lined them all up and mixed it and mastered it. And there's no overdubs on that. There's nothing studio. That is literally just what happened on the stage. But the funniest is we didn't know we were recording a live record. That was news to us. He had done that kind of secretly and surprised us with it. So took a couple of weeks to mix it and master it. And the connection there is that Cody runs a studio called Circle A Studio here in Victoria, who does a lot of the records for a lot of the punk bands. That's kind of his focus, which is good to have a dedicated guy who knows the music to bring you in the studio. So when we recorded this EP that we're releasing right now, the Me I See record, he recorded that at his studio and mixed it. And that came from that live record. That came from just the fact that he was a sound guy who had done all these stems. When like he did us this huge favor by surprising us with all these live tracks. It would be wrong to not go to him to make the record. So kind of figured that was a good little handshake thing. Like, you did us a solid, we'll do you one back and support your studio. And obviously he's an amazing guy and an amazing engineer, live and studio. So both of those were great experiences, and work with them again anytime. Everyone should.
Yeah.
And when you said a few moments ago how you guys had absolutely no idea that these were actually being recorded, looking back on it now, if you guys have changed your set in any way, maybe done something a little bit differently, or was that set absolutely to your guys' liking?
Well,
yeah, at that point we'd only played like one version of a set. So yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, when like any other band, that was like one of our first couple of shows that we had played at the time. So we were still our songs hadn't been as refined as they are now. We're still working out some kinks. We're definitely from like strong performing backgrounds, but like anyone that hears their work, play back, we were of course a bit critical upon our performance, and there's some songs that we could have maybe perhaps done slightly better, but it helped us grow, and we definitely realized like how we sound live. But overall, we were actually quite impressed, because we're always critical within our own world and our own bubble and how we perform and how we play, and based on our perception, then we hear it back. We were pleasantly surprised by the performance and how that went, and it was just actually kind of a magical night. Everything was meant to line up. It was a great performance overall as a band, and we're really happy with it. We met Cody, and that lined up to our studio with this EP coming out that we're absolutely so stoked for the world to hear. It sounds great. We're really proud of the product and everything that we put into it.
And also, as well, on May 6th of 2023, you guys actually released an amazing 5-track EP titled "The Me I See." I was wondering, what is the story and inspiration behind this amazing record? And of course, is there actually any hard copies available to be purchased today?
There's not the record. Yeah, so the May 6th is what it kind of technically says, because that's where we put it up on our Bandcamp, and we put. Hey, Paul, there you go. Good timing for Paul. Paul, who was our kind of our digital online.
We're having chicken nuggets.
He put it up streaming services a couple days ago into to make that stuff ready when we did the interview that people could actually go and hear us. So that's all up, and then I put the full down onto our Bandcamp. I haven't told anybody that, so this is the first time we're telling anybody that is now available. So we'll post all on social media all over tomorrow. But this is your exclusive. It's a Punk World Radio exclusive that it is available for search and download. But as far as hard copy, we didn't press any CDs or any vinyl, just because it's a 5-song EP and vinyl is extremely expensive. So kind of the plan is to release some stuff bit by bit, and then once you have kind of a full album of the material, kind of then maybe press vinyl and give people something they can actually hold on to. Because I love having physical product myself. It's just cost prohibitive these days to do a couple songs here and there on physical media. So online is good for that. Streaming is good for that. I think it's how most people kind of get their music anyway. Eventually these will all kind of make their way onto a vinyl and CD release, because it would be cool to actually do a real product, something to hold in your hands, which is always good. Always good.
And especially with vinyl as well. Like, I don't know about now, but I do know during the pandemic that vinyl had such I think it was like a 2 or 3 year backlog on just vinyl. So either way, getting a vinyl pressed, by the time you actually get it pressed, you'll be already working on the next album, and the next album might even be released by then before you actually get the vinyl actually in your hands. It's actually a crazy process nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It's true that I've heard lots of horror stories about the pressing plants being incredibly backed up, and some bands we know that have made vinyl and waited months and months and months to get them, and then they sell the first like 100 and try to order, and then it's like months and months and reorder. So hopefully that improves. Again, in a post-pandemic world where more bands are kind of playing live, and now that we can be around people in groups of people and be in studio in closed spaces, maybe more people making records will mean that the pressing plants will kind of get their production up to speed, and more people can release records, because there needs to be more punk and hardcore in the world, in my opinion.
And I know briefly a few moments ago, you individuals actually spoke about the brand new EP that's actually currently in the works. But I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this up and coming album, because I do know that Everything's Okay actually is one of the singles off that project from what I read on your guys' Facebook page. But aside from that, what can our listeners actually expect from this up and coming EP when it does drop to the general public?
Anyway. Neil, you want?
Neil, you take it. No?
Yeah. Five
I
awesome
gotta take a tequila break, so Neil, you take it.
Basically. So the EP's it's got a few melodic, sort of like catchy, hooky songs, and then there's a couple of more sort of but harder edge punk and hardcore. That's what people are going to hear, I think. So it's good. It's a good blend between the two. We all come from different backgrounds, like musically. So I know Paul and I tend to like listen to a lot more of the heavier end of hardcore, whereas Jordan, Elena, and Kevin don't. So, or not as much as. So it blends really well. So that's who we are, and I think the Me I See will actually portray that.
And do you guys have an estimated release date for the project, or is it currently just actually up in the air right now?
For the EP, it's now.
Yeah, got it.
It's now. This is it. This is it. It's up. We haven't told anybody until now, so we're telling people now.
Oh, perfect. I wasn't quite sure if that was the same EP you guys were speaking about a few moments ago, where you said it was a Punk World Radio exclusive, but you guys heard it here. Definitely go snag yourselves a copy of that.
Yeah, it's on all the major streaming sites like Amazon, Spotify, Apple, etc. So it's just up there for people to find online.
Listen to it, share it, play it over and over again until your ears bleed, and listen again.
And also, of course, so obviously we spoke about the brand new EP that actually literally just got released recently. We talked about the previous album and, of course, some of the amazing shows and just the history of Zero Coping Skills. But aside from that, is there anything we missed during this evening's interview? Anything else you guys still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on 99.9 FM this evening.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, is that EP is coming out. It's been a long time coming. We've been working on some of these songs. One of them is from the original batch of like 3 songs we ever jammed together, called The Way It Is. So there's kind of the whole history of the sound of the band, everything we've kind of came from and evolved into as we kind of, the chemistry kind of gets aligned, is represented on this. So really excited about that. And again, it sounds great. And so we're really excited for people to see it and to hear it. But just I think the interesting point is that as Olang, we do come from different backgrounds that are all kind of related. We all come from like a different, like we're all kind of come from a Warped Tour. We kind of come from some New York hardcore and from some UK hardcore and some Canadian hardcore, especially. But sometimes all at different eras. There's some age differences. So it might be like stuff that was like first Warped Tour as opposed to 10 Warped Tour might have been the influence on different members. I know I came from, my first hardcore bands were in the 90, 91. That's when Green Day was on Lookout, and Epitaph was just kind of starting out, and Fat Records was just kind of an idea at that point. I played with No Effects back then, when Mike was just kind of starting getting that done, and I think around Ribbed. So that was a really big influence. I mean, those kind of bands that kind of mixed where they'd come from, which was kind of the skate punk of like GBH and Gangrene and those kind of stuff, and then they just turned it into put in some metal influences with some better guitar playing, put in some harmonies and some more melodic stuff. And I really liked that kind of mix. I like the fact that, like, my favorite hardcore album of all time is Gorilla Biscuit's Start Today. That is mixed for me with the Bad Religions and the NoFXs and stuff. So I like when things go fast and hard, but you can still put harmonies onto it. You can still have some, the musicality. You want to get better as guitar players. You want to get better as musicians. And so it's fun that we can kind of push ourselves to, put the more complicated stuff in, more interesting harmonies. We have 2 guitar players. We have multiple vocalists for harmonies, to use those kind of tools in the way that kind of Bad Religion always did, and really explore that all the whole toolbox, instead of just kind of simplifying it and kind of the roots of punk where we come from, to kind of take that and make it our own. And I think that's the fun thing about hardcore, is that there's no real definition to it anymore. It can mean 50 different things to 50 different people, and it all comes from a mix of like your individual members. So the 5 of us, with all of our different influences kind of tossed into the middle of the room, you can write the same 4 chords that 50 other bands write, but it's not going to sound like anybody else but you, because we all have this little flavor to what we do, and at the end of it, it becomes Zero Coping Skills. And that's the magic of bands to me. That's why I always love being in bands for a long time, and why I continue to do it, is just I love the fact that when you put individuals with their own put their own brains together and see what comes out, it's always a little different than you might have expected. It's always a little different than how the song started, where it goes to, and by the end of it, it doesn't sound like anybody else but you. And that's there's a magic to that I still find a passion in that magic you can create. So there you go. That's what hopefully people hear on the EP, and we get a lot of different references when people hear a song, and they'll say, "Oh, I hear an SNFU in that," or "Oh, I totally hear Bad Religion in that," or "You guys are totally like Lagwagon." It's like, well, we're all of those things. So yes and yes and yes.
Media, but for the individuals that are just discovering Zero Coping Skills right now, whether this interview is live or on demand 2, 3, or 6 months from now, how can they go about following not only Zero Coping Skills as a band, but you guys as individual members as well?
Anyone? We lost Paul. We lost our digital
Paul's,
mogul.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Zero Coping Skills on Facebook, Zero Coping Skills on Instagram. I myself am on Instagram as Elena Red. I'm not a huge Instagram user, but getting into it. And like I said about the EP, it's on all the major streaming sites, like Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think everybody else has got their own personal Instagram accounts as well.
Yep.
Yeah, for myself, Kevin, I'm
and we're easy to find because we comment on band stuff. So
we all set
I don't
there.
remember what my actual extensions are, but if you go to the Zero Coping Skills pages, like our Facebook page, the Zero Coping Skills Facebook page, you'll see. I always bother when bands like don't put who they are, don't put an about page, or don't put a bio and stuff, because you want to know about the bands you're listening to. When you discover somebody on Facebook, you want to get a little about them. So you can actually find us all individually through that, because we're pretty active on sharing band stuff and commenting on band stuff and responding to other comments. So if you comment to us or message us, we'll always get back to you. We're very kind of interactive that way. Always like to say hi. Always like to other bands, fans in general. But yeah, it's all community, right? That's what the hardcore scene always was community. I learned that from 7 Seconds years ago, that it's there's enough out there that in the mainstream and the big radio and the big major labels, that every punk scene is a little bit underground, and so you've got to unite. You've got to find each other in the city that you're in, or the country you're in, or the scene you're in, and interact. So yeah, we answer messages, so we can all be found. You'll see our faces on our posts and comments. So we're not private and hiding in the shadows. We're definitely out there.
And I'm going to say, first and foremost, thank you all so much for just giving not only myself, but the radio station airwaves just a little bit of your Sunday evening this evening to talk about your amazing everything you guys are currently doing within the punk rock community. It was such an honor to speak with you. And hopefully down the line, we can make this happen again sometime soon. Yourselves a phenomenal and kick gas Sunday night, whatever is left of it. I think we got a few hours left.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been great. Love your show.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm definitely put amazing band like yourselves on a pedestal and show the world what real punk rock is. We need real punk rock back, and I'm here to help.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Together. Thank you. We really, really do appreciate it.
Most certainly welcome, guys. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great night.
And you take care.